What's happening, y'all? It's theryanplummer here, and I'm bringing you our Week 3 matchup in the UBC. This week we are taking on Stab and the coach of the Chicago Sacred Fire in this Week 3 matchup. So I'll link his channel in the description, but definitely check him out. He is a great battler. I love his channel. He's got a bunch of great league battles. And you know me, I love league battles. If you post a lot of league battles, I'm gonna like your channel. And Stab's channel does that. So definitely check that out. If you haven't already, check out my team builder. It's got his team. I'm not going to go over his team right now, but it's got his team and my team and all the weird sets that I'm bringing this week. And lastly, before we start, I am a little sick, so sorry about that. My voice is kind of going, and I might cough a bit, but there's not much I can do about that. So we're going to start off the battle, and we get the team preview, and I realized I didn't really do a team prediction, per se, in the team builder video, but I was like 100% sure he was going to bring Rhyperior, and I do see the Rhyperior, so that's good. He also decides to bring the Mega Charizard X and the Tyrantrum, which is sort of interesting, leading me to believe that the Tyrantrum is probably Scarfed, because he wouldn't bring two Dragon Dancers, but I'd have to look into that more to figure that out. We do see the Sneasel. I'm guessing that thing's just a Life Orb set, standard Sneasel, and then we do see the Manaphy, and that thing is like threat number 1. That thing scares me a lot. Obviously I have Mega Manectric and to deal with it in Tornadus outspeeds. Ditto can, you know, copy its stat changes, but that thing is terrifying for me. However, looking at this team, I do realize that the Klefki Spike's lead is probably pretty obvious. So, originally my plan was to leave with Ditto, and I thought about it for a while, but looking at his team, he has no way to get rid of Hazards, because he doesn't bring the Hitmontop, which means that I can actually leave with Ditto like I planned, and even though he stacks Spikes on me, I can stack Spikes back on him, and we can kind of get that trade-off, because Spikes affect both our teams pretty evenly. If not, they affect him a little bit more. So I did decide to go ahead and do that. So I do lead with my Ditto. He does lead with the Klefki as predicted. I see his set. I know that he has Spike, Thunder Wave, Dazzling Gleam, and Reflect. So I'm guessing he's probably got the Light Clay, and I can just kind of stack Spikes right now. So that's what I decided to do. I do have to worry about the threat of him paralyzing me, which as you see he does. But I have the Aromatisse, and Aromatisse can heal up on Klefki really well. She gets the paralysis there, doesn't really matter, we're both going to get the same amount of spikes up. And I can switch to Aromatisse here, predicting him to probably go for Reflect. He actually goes for the Dazzling Gleam though, instead of the Reflect, and so what this does is it allows me to set up my Reflect. I was guessing the Rhyperior was probably going to come in to try and take this on. So I can set my Reflect, and if the Rhyperior comes in, I can Wish Up, and then Heal Bell. He does show the Rhyperior. I do get my Reflect up, so this thing can't really do a whole lot to me. He just decides to set up Rocks, get all of his hazards out of the way, which I'm sort of okay with at this point. He makes a hard switch into Charizard here, which is really interesting. But what this does is, it puts me in a really weird situation, and I can actually play this, because you'll see. Obviously he's not going to be doing anything to me. He doesn't Mega Evolve there by accident. It was a misclick on his part. But it didn't really matter because he ends up having the Roost, so Moonblast wouldn't have been doing enough to affect the Roost anyway, as you see there. So we earned the situation where he keeps roosting. He's going to probably assault the Reflect. I'm just going to keep hitting Moonblast in case he makes a mistake and maybe I get a crit, something like that. I'm too scared to switch out into anything at this point. He goes for the Dragon Claw there, expecting me to switch, I guess, on the Wish, but I don't. I just stay in and get my health back. Here he expects me to set up the Reflect, and I'm in the situation where I want, where he is now setting up that Dragon Dance, which means I can go into Ditto and copy his stat changes, and if he kills Aromatisse and whatnot, I can deal with that. So, I still play around a little bit with the Moonblast, trying to see if I can force him into mistakes, see if he tries to set up more, but right now it's looking like he's not going to do that. I know his entire set now as well, because he's shown everything to me in this little ordeal, so I think this is the turn. Yeah, this is the turn where I finally make the switch into Ditto, and as he goes for the Roost, I predict he'll go for the Roost, he does, and here we're in a very interesting situation. It's one of those situations I wanted in my team builder to kind of force pressure on him, And that is now one of two things, really. I can either Dragon Claw and kill this thing, and he loses a huge, his sweeper, basically. His one of his big win conditions, right off the bat there. But if I Dragon Claw and he switches into his Clef Key, then he gains a ton of momentum. Ditto can only come in one more time because of all the spikes and rocks and stuff like that. And it puts me in a really bad situation. I almost lose at that point, because at that point, a Sneasel Ice Shard would be able to kill me, and I can't reverse sweep him like I want. Or I can go for the Roost here, predicting him to switch, and not want to lose his Charizard. But if he goes for the Dragon Claw, and I Roost up, then he kills me, and I lose Ditto, and at that point, I pretty much lose. There's not a whole lot I can do to beat this Charizard. Even behind the Reflect. So, I decide here, I look at his team, I say, this is probably his win condition. He probably wants to keep this thing safe. He has a couple of switch-ins in the Mega Charizard X. Probably, Clef Key is the obvious switch-in here to the Mega Charizard X. So I just decide I'm going to go ahead and go with a little bit of a risky play, go for the Roost, and save my Ditto, possibly allowing me to sweep up at the end. And that's what I do, and it turns out to work really well for me, as I'm able to get the Roost off, and he goes into Rhyperior. So now I'm going to switch out. I have into Aromatisse, because I know I can take anything from this Rhyperior, but it turns out he gets a crit on the Earthquake, which ended up being pretty big, because now my Aromatisse is in effect dead. I can't really, obviously, no, I can't really do anything else. Had he not killed me there, I would have been able to Wish Up and, deal with that, get more Reflects up, prolong my Reflect, hit him with Moonblaster, wearing his Rhyperior down. He couldn't really switch. I mean, it would be a risk to switch in Charizard at that point with the spikes up, stuff like that. So I'm going to, I would have been able to do stuff with Aromatisse, but there's nothing else I can do now. No point in switching out. I am going to let it die, but because of that, I now can gain a lot of momentum. I think that I talked about that in my team builder, how every time something dies, I can go into something else to gain more momentum. So I have an interesting situation here. I have not seen really any of this Rhyperior in terms of whether it's defensive, special defensive, what item it was. At this point, I totally forgot about the fact he still had rocks and thought it could have been Assault Vest. But if he's max special defensive and has a special defensive nature, my Hidden Power Water at this point would not kill him. If he was either defensive or offensive, or didn't have like a max specially defensive special defensive nature or whatever, stuff like that, I could potentially kill with Hidden Power Water here to make him electric and gain a ton of momentum, be able to Volt Switch and move around, stuff like that, to get into other mons. But I didn't want to risk it with Mega Electric. It was still a big check to Manaphy. So I decided not to switch to Mega Electric. My other option was to go into Tornadus here, and maybe catch him off guard with the Grass Knot. However, if he switches into certain things, he can gain a ton of momentum that way. So it depends, really, on what's going on there. But I decided to just make the safe play and go into Tornadus Therian, the Birdman, Chris Anderson, and hit Grass Knot as a safe play. He switches into Clef Key, which is obviously going to do nothing, but that is pretty big for me, because I was pretty sure here that he was going to hit Thunder Wave to paralyze this Tornadus Therian, because Aromatisse was down and it would be paralyzed for the rest of the game. I have no Heal Beller. And he could do that. So I was almost positive he was going to do that. So I switched into Mega Electric here, but he actually makes a really good play. He predicts that switch and goes for the Dazzling Gleam, which is really interesting, because now Mega Electric's basically dead. Like, I can't switch in Mega Electric anymore because I have no way to get rid of rocks. And I have a really tough play, not necessarily tough play to make here, but I have an interesting situation. If I hit Overheat and he switches into something like Tyrantrum or Charizard, even Sneasel, he can, do a lot to me. I was expecting him to switch into Rhyperior here, and I knew that with my Overheat, I could take out this Clef Key. And if he switched into Rhyperior, even that half special attack, a Hidden Power Water would kill after Spikes and Overheat, and he had no way to get Rhyperior back up to health. So, I'm just going to go for the safe play here, hit Overheat. Mega Electric's basically dead. This could gain him a lot of momentum, and I lose one of my main Manaphy checks. And if he goes to Manaphy here, it actually could hurt me a lot as well. So I just go for the overheat, and he actually stays in. Doesn't go for reflect or any prankster moves. And I'm actually able to take out the clef key, which ended up being a huge thing, because now I can, with the Mega Charizard X, with Ditto, I don't have to be scared anymore of hitting Dragon Claw. And actually, he switched in the Mega Charizard X here, which is really interesting. I don't know his Manaphy set, but if he was like a defensive setup set, he probably could have set up and done a lot to me, really forced some pressure on me. I really expected him to go into Sneasel and hit Ice Shard. It's definitely a possibility. I could have switched into Cobalion, but if he had the low kick, you know, he's doing a lot of damage to me there. But he actually goes to Mega Charizard X. And I'm sitting to myself thinking here, if he Dragon Dances here, I basically win. Because if he Dragon Dances and kills Mega Manectric, I win. Because at this point, he doesn't have Klefki anymore. I can just hit Dragon Claw and take out his entire team. So looking at this, I'm saying I decided to go for Hidden Power Water. I probably should have gone for like a Thunderbolt, maybe get a Para if he decided to switch out, but I'm just definitely staying in here, and go for Hidden Power, and he actually does go for the Dragon Dance. So I'm really like, my mouth is watering here, because I know that I can go into Ditto here, because he actually ends up killing me. I decided to just go for the Thunderbolt, and I can actually go into Ditto here and transform into the Mega Charizard X, and basically just sweep up at the end here. So that's what ends up happening. He ends up making the big mistake first, and I know I put a lot of pressure on him in the battle to, you know, make that play. And like I said, like, that's what I came into the battle wanting to do. I wanted to put a lot of pressure on him and on his setup mons that he couldn't really set up at will. And Ditto's going to pull off the big sweep for me here. So good battle, Stab. Thanks for the battle. Like I said, check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of good content on his YouTube channel. A lot of league matches. He does a lot of great stuff on there. Check him out. But we finally get the big win that we're looking for at this point in the season. It's huge. We can gain a lot of momentum. And that's my cat. Sorry for that. But we can gain a lot of momentum moving forward. I wish I was able to do a live recording, because when I won, I like freaked out. Like, I was so excited to finally get that win, and be able to put a lot of momentum. And wow, my cat really wants to say hi. Here, come here. Yeah, you get to say hi. This is one of my cat's paws. He's here now. He's celebrating the win. So, yeah. So moving forward, this is huge. This is a huge momentum gainer for us. And we can move forward and hopefully pull off a couple more wins. So I'm excited for next week. I'm motivated now. We can pull through and hopefully make a push towards playoffs. So thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.